Hi friends, happy Friday. I'm back again this week and I'm here with my friend, you know who, right? Rootbear. Rootbear's here. Rootbear, you're wearing something different. I wonder what Rootbear's wearing. Rootbear, would you like to come show everybody what you're wearing tonight? Well, Rootbear, what is that? It's called a mortar board. Here, let's put this over here. Look at that. What kind of a hat is that? That's not like a helper hat or anything, is it? It means you graduated. Nice. What did you graduate from? Why, school, of course. Oh, right. It's like the last week of school coming up, isn't it? You graduated from music class, from Miss Tiyi's music class. That's right, you did. You graduated from Miss Tiyi's music class. You like that hat a lot? You tried wearing it to bed, but it kept poking you. I don't think you're supposed to wear your mortar board to bed. You learned that the hard way. You did. So, Rootbear, I have another fun story for tonight. No, it's not about you this time. It's about something else altogether different. An old folks tale that I'm going to tell today. What's a folk tale? A folk tale is a story that folks tell. And they share it with each other, and they pass it from grandmas to grandkids to grandmas to grandkids, down but generations and generations and generations. It's a story that passes from one person to another. You like bear tales? Oh, they pass from one bear to another. Yes, they do. Yes. Well, this isn't a bear tale. This is a folk tale. Here, let me move this for you. Is that better? Oh, it was poking you in your eye. Yes. Well, Rootbear, I see that you're there we go. We're stuck on my shoelace. I have tie shoes. I could tie my shoes. Can you tie your shoes? I could tie my shoes. That's a big accomplishment lately for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should say goodbye to Root. We're not going to say goodbye. I have to start the story. We did. We forgot the funny face. Do you want to see Rootbear make a funny face? Rootbear, do you want to keep your hat on for your funny face? Of course you do. You love it so much, you never want to take it off. Okay, but you're not going to sleep in it, right? It doesn't fit so well in your sleeping bag. Okay, well, you ready for your funny face? All right, you want me to help you with a funny face today? Oh, you want to help me by my funny face? I don't feel like making a funny face. I already have a funny face. I suppose I do. I suppose I do have a kind of funny face, don't I? It's very pink. It is pink. That's the color of me. The color of you is kind of tan and furry. Everybody has their own color, don't they? Yeah, yeah. So, are you going to do your funny face, or are we going to just talk about my face? It's not always about me. Okay, all right, Rootbear, make your funny face. Are you ready? Waiting for it, waiting for it, waiting for it. Rootbear, you look so sad. That's a really silly one. You were sticking out your tongue. Yeah, you were. Okay, my friend. Well, would you like to sit down so I could start the story and you could sit right here and listen? You're going to keep your hat on for listening. Okay. It's called a mortar board. Yes, it is. It means that you graduated. That's right. So would everyone like to wave bye to Rootbear right now? Do the Rootbear wave. Wave bye to Rootbear. Yay, Rootbear. Okay, my friend, you go right here gently. And I am going to tell you the story. You may have heard this one, but it's not a really common story like the Little Red Riding Hood story that I changed, or the Three Bears story that Well, my grandpa changed the Red Riding Hood story, or the Three Bears story that I changed. But this one, I'm going to tell pretty much the way I heard it. This is the story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Now, a long time ago, long before even Miss Tiyi was born, long before even Bunsey was born, he's really old, a very long time ago, before your great-great-grandparents were born, there was a little town in Europe named Hamelin. And Hamelin was a little town that was surrounded by a wall. Now, in those days, this was way back in the time of knights and kings and queens and lords and all that kind of stuff, and peasants and serfs. And so it was a really long time ago, like way back in the movies, before there were movies time. This town was surrounded by a wall. And this town was a town like a lot of the other towns. There was a miller, there was a town mayor, there were constables and bakers and carpenters and seamstresses and people that did all kinds of jobs, candlestick makers. And the people lived in this town, and everything was just fine until a terrible thing happened. You see, the people in this walled town didn't know how to take care of their trash. Sort of like the Snooze and the Snocker story, kind of. Except they would just dump trash down in the street. Now, it has to go someplace, right? And this someplace was right into the tummy of a whole bunch of rats. Rats just swarmed into the town. Not cute little pink white rats like you can have as a pet. These were big, hairy, brown, gray rats with big, sharp teeth. And they would eat all the trash in the street, and they would get into everything. And I gotta tell you, the worst part about these rats is these rats had fleas, and these fleas had a disease that made all of the people sick. Oh, kind of like we have a pandemic now, don't we? Well, this village, this little town, was suffering. People were getting sick because there were so many rats. The people were like they would see each other in the street, and as they're standing there visiting, little rats would run across their feet. And as they opened up the cupboard to see if there was something there, few rats would scurry around in there. When they went to make their bed in the morning, rats would jump on the bed and get underneath the bed. There were rats in the toy boxes, there were rats in the fields, there were rats everywhere. It was like, the people were like, yo, rats are running everywhere. What we gonna do? Running after me and running after you. Getting in our houses and getting in our beds. Filthy rotten mouses are getting in my head, yo. And all the people said, get the rats, yo. Get the rats, yo. Rats are running everywhere. What we gonna do? All these nasty little rats are giving me the blues. We gotta think of something. We gotta make it quick. These filthy rotten rats are just making us sick, yo. And all the people sang, get the rats, yo. Get the rats. And they walked around trying not to step on a rat tail and have it turn around and bite them in their ankle. Oh, it was terrible. They were everywhere. They hired someone to make live traps. And they would trap rats by the dozen, and they'd take them way down by the river. There was a river near this town, and let the rats go way back by the river, and within minutes, there'd be twice as many. And then they put other kinds of traps, and they put big chunks of cheese in the trap that would go snap and take care of that rat forthwith. But those rats were so clever and so smart that they would go over and they would just stand off to the side and grab that cheese and the strap would go snap, and it would miss them all the time. There was even the story about 3 blind rats and a butcher's wife and their tails, I heard. Oh, maybe that was mice. I'm not sure. But it was a dire situation. Now, the people gathered all around, and they started to decide they had to do something. So they called a meeting in the town, and they were talking about, the mayor was asking everybody, we have to do something about this. We don't know what's attracting all these rats. They didn't yet know about taking care of your environment and sanitation. But we just have to do something about these rats. When all of a sudden, outside of the village gate, they heard this sound. And they stopped and looked, said, "What's that?" And they heard it again. And into the middle of the town walked a piper playing a pipe, playing a little like a recorder, but it was his pipe. And he's playing along, and everybody just was mesmerized by this music. And they stopped, and he walked right up in the middle of the town, and he bowed deeply. And he said, "Good evening, my fine people. I am the Pied Piper. I heard from another town that you are suffering greatly from an abundance of rats." That means that they had too many rats and they were not happy about it. And the people were like, "It's true. We are suffering from," how did you put that? He said, "an abundance of rats." Abundance means a whole lot of something. And they said, "Yes, we are." He says, "Well, I can take care of your problem. I know how to get rid of rats." And the people in the town were like, "Oh, thank goodness, you're the answer to all of our prayers and pleas. How would you get rid of the rats?" And he said, "Well, I'm not going to tell you how I get rid of the rats, but I will tell you that if you pay me 5 gold coins, that's a lot of money. If you pay me 5 gold coins, I will guarantee rid your entire town of rats. They will never come back in 24 hours. And the people were like, and then they looked at each other and said, 24 hours? Nobody could do that. But boy, 5 gold pieces is a whole lot of money. Now the constable goes over to the mayor, and they weren't on the up and up so much, and the constable says, hey, mayor, I have an idea. The piper promised to get rid of the rats in 24 hours, okay? Nobody could do that. These rats are pervasive. That means they're everywhere. So how about we agree to do this, and if there's even 1 rat left, we won't have to pay the 5 gold coins. And they kind of did the elbow bump and the fist bump and the thumbs up ladder dance, and they said, okay, and they went back to the piper. And the mayor said, not a single rat left in the town in 24 hours. And the piper said, I will change that. They looked at each other and said, I thought you were going to change it. And the piper says, it will be by morning. I will rid your entire town of every rat by morning. And the constable looked at the mayor, and the mayor looked at the constable, and they kind of winked at each other. And they said, okay, you're hired. Every single rat by morning. Yes, that's right. 5 gold coins, said the piper. 5 gold coins. Do you have that much? Oh, yes, we have 5 gold coins in the town treasury. We will definitely pay you 5 gold coins if every single rat is gone by morning. Well, the piper said, very well then. I think I will go to the inn and have myself a little something to eat. And that's just what the piper did. The piper went into the inn, and he sat down at the table, and all the people were whispering, and rats were running everywhere like, yo, rats are running everywhere. What we gonna do? They're running after me and running after you, getting in the cupboards and getting in the bread, and all these nasty rats are getting in my head. And the piper just ignored them. And all the people were like, ew, get away from me, and freaking out over the rats. And the piper just enjoyed a little meal of something here and a little something to drink with his meal. And now the sun is beginning to set. And the people are watching this piper when he's going to start setting his traps for all these rats. And the piper says, well, isn't it about time for all of you to turn in? And the people were like, yeah, it was getting dark. Now in these days, there were no street lights. There was no electricity. So everybody went to bed as soon as the sun went down because it was too expensive to burn candles and there wasn't much light anyway. So all the people went back to their houses and got in their pajamas, and they checked under the covers and shooed the rats out of their beds. And they climbed in their beds, and soon they were asleep. And as soon as the people were asleep, under the full moon, the piper went out in the middle of the town square, took his pipe and he held it and he said, "Little pipe with notes so true, play the tune I ask of you, a melody to bring them forth from west and east and south and north. Make them follow with their feet and hold them steady with your beat." And then the piper picked up the pipe and began to play. And with the first note, the sound of munching stopped in the town. And with the second note, all the little beady rat eyes were turning to look where the sound came from. And with the third note, they were looking and wondering what was going on in the full moon in the middle of the town square. And then the piper began to really play. And suddenly, the rats, as if hypnotized by the music, started just pouring out of all the buildings, pouring out of the grain bins. And the piper kept playing. And the rats poured out of the cupboards, and the rats came from out under beds and under chairs, and the rats came from the schoolhouse and the church and the bakery and the homes, and pretty soon the whole town square is filled with millions of rats. And the piper, as he was playing, began to walk. Towards the river with every single rat in town right behind him. Pretty soon they got to the river's edge, and the piper stood right at the river's edge and continued to play and change the tune just a little. And as he started to play the new tune, all the rats started to just, one after the other, jump right into the river. One after another. Now there were fewer rats. They jumped in the river, and more rats in the river, and it was a swift, deep river. And as the river water grabbed them, it swept them down the river, and they tumbled under the water. Until every single rat had jumped into the river and was swept away forever. And the piper returned to the village just around sunrise. Now the people woke up in the morning and they were like, "Oh, listen," they said. "Listen, shh, 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 listen." And all they could hear was the sound of the river. They did not hear little scurrying sounds. They did not hear little gnawing sounds or munching sounds. They searched their bedrooms. They searched their homes. They searched the grain pile. They searched everywhere. And every single rat was kaput, gone, vamonos, adios, see you later, rats. They were G-O-N-E, gone. And the piper stood holding his pipe, smiling, And the villagers were so happy. They were singing and dancing, and they were like, this is like the best thing ever. And then the piper sees the mayor walk up, and the mayor says, all the rats are gone, every single one. Has anyone seen any rats at all? And everyone's like, no, not a single rat. Well, give us a minute to look around. And all the people searched, and there was not a single rat left in that entire town. And so the piper said, Mayor, it's time to pay the piper, and held out his hand. And the mayor said, I have some good news and some bad news. And the piper looked at the mayor. And the piper says, yes. Well, the good news is, good job. You are excellent, and I will recommend you to all of my mayor friends all over the country. You are the best rat exterminator I have ever met in my life. So that's really great. Thank you so much for doing that. And the piper said, and the bad news? And the mayor says, well, it's like, and then the constable pipes up and he says, actually, we do not really have 5 gold coins. We suspected that you were not going to be able to do this job. We only have about 2.5 or 3 gold coins. And besides, you did that in such a short time, and we watched you do that. That was hardly any work at all. That was not really worth 5 gold coins. I'm sorry, we're not paying you 5 gold coins. And the piper said, oh, you're not paying me 5 gold coins? And they said, we can't afford to pay you 5 gold coins for such light work. I mean, if it had taken you longer. And the piper said, look, you promised me 5 gold coins. And then this little girl who was in the crowd listening to all this, she was a little girl who had a twisted foot, and she walked with 2 little canes. And she came hobbling up, and she said, shame on you. You owe the piper 5 gold coins. I know you could put together 5 gold coins. You're going back on your word. And the constable nearly pushed her down as he said, go back to your family, little girl. We don't want to hear you here right now. Piper, I think you should leave our town right now. And the piper says, well, I'm going to the authorities. And they looked at the piper and they said, Piper, we are the authorities. Best you be on your way. And the piper said to them, you are going to pay the piper one way or another. If you do not pay me what you promised, you will pay me in something even more precious than gold. And the people looked at one another and they said, there is nothing more precious than gold. I mean, gold coins, are you serious? Gold is the most precious metal there is. There's nothing more precious than gold. Be on your way, said the constable. And the piper said, very well. Well, the people celebrated all evening. They made a big feast, and they put a spread out in the middle of the town square because there were no rats to get in the way. And they had this wonderful party, and they danced and they celebrated all these rats gone. And then all of the families went and tucked their little children in their beds and said, you could sleep safely tonight because there are no rats left. This is so wonderful. And they tucked the kids in. And then they themselves, once the sun fully set and the moon was rising, went to bed themselves. Well, at the town gate, there appeared none other than the piper. And he said, breaking your word is the worst thing you could do. If you make a promise, you need to keep a promise. I will show these town people the value of keeping their word. And he walked into the town square while everyone was sleeping. And he held his pipe and he said, little pipe with notes so true, play the tune I ask of you, a melody to call them forth from west and east and south and north. Hold them steady in your beat and make them follow with their feet. He picked up the pipe and he played a different tune. It sounded something like this. soon as the melody started playing, the children woke up in their beds, and they rubbed their eyes and they listened as the piper played. And as if hypnotized, every one of the children in the town climbed out of their beds and happily skipped outdoors right into the town square where the piper was still playing. And as he played, he started to walk out of the village. Now don't worry, he did not walk the children to the river. He walked the children just down the road a little ways where there was a nice warm barn for them to go to sleep in piles of hay. And he played. And when he got there, he played a softer tune. The children went fast asleep. And then he made his way back to the village. Now, do you remember the little girl I told you with the twisted foot? When the piper played, all the children followed him, dancing and skipping and laughing, and the little girl with the twisted foot couldn't follow. She was left behind because she could not keep up. And so when the people woke up in the morning, the piper still wasn't there. And the first thing they noticed was that their children were gone. And they, as you could imagine, freaked out. Oh no, where are the children? Where are the children? Where have they gone? Where are the children? Something's gone terribly wrong. And they came and spilled out into the square. And there the little girl with the twisted foot was sitting on a little rock there with tears in her eyes. And they came out and said, "Where are the other children? What happened?" And she said to them, "I wanted to go with. They followed the piper, but I couldn't follow them. I had to stay behind to tell you the story." And the moms and dads and the people in the town were like, "What happened? Did he take them to the river?" And the little girl said, "Well, maybe you should ask him yourself." And just at that moment, the piper entered the town gates. "Arrest him! Put him in jail! He's kidnapped all of our children!" And the piper said, "Your children? You said there was nothing more precious than gold. And I said, if you will not pay the piper in gold, you will pay me in something more precious. And so you have done that. And I have taken my pay in something more precious than gold." And they're like, "Oh no, we're sorry. We'll pay you whatever you want. Are they safe?" "They're safe," said the piper. "Well, we'll pay you. How much do you want?" And he said, "Our bargain was 5 gold coins." And people just went in their pockets and reached in their stash, and they got way more than 5 gold coins. But do you know what the piper did? He held out his hat, and all of the people poured all their coins into his hat, said, "Please, please bring back the children." And he took out 5 gold coins and put them in his pocket. And then he took the rest of the coins and gave them to the little girl with the twisted foot and said, "This is for you." And then he said, "All right, people, you have paid the piper. Now stand back and let me do my work." And he stood at the town gate and out across the field toward the barn he began to play again. And in the barn, the children woke up and rubbed their eyes, and they saw each other, and they giggled, and they jumped up, and they said, "Oh, it's the piper, let's go!" And they started running across the field as he played. And as the children ran into the town gate, their moms and dads and aunties and uncles and grandmas ran to them and scooped them up and said, "Oh, my child, you are so much more precious than gold. You are the most precious thing there is. You are the most precious thing to your mom and dad and your family too, aren't you? Yes, you are." And the piper took his 5 gold coins, and he took his pipe, and he put his hat on his head, and he smiled at the little girl with the twisted foot. And he left that village. And from that day on, no matter what, the people in that town, if they made a promise, a bargain, they kept that bargain. And you should think about that too. You might hear the expression, somebody's going to have to pay the piper. That means we have to pay things that we use and take, right? Yeah, keep your word, keep your bargain. And Rootbear, would you like to come and say hello one more time? Oh, Maggie just came running in. Hi, Mags. Come on in, Rootbear. Come say hi, because I want to talk to the children out there. You want to come say hi real quick? Hi, here's Maggie.
Hello.
This is my little granddaughter, Maggie. Oh, Rootbear gave her a kiss.
I live right next door.
She does. She lives right next door.
I lost a tooth last night.
Yeah.
Or last evening.
Look at, show them all your lost teeth. She doesn't have, she's got like almost no teeth left in her head. All right, sweet girl, here's your bednight kiss. Mwah. I love you. Sleep tight.
What you doing?
Telling a story on Facebook Live. It's bedtime. It's bedtime. It's bedtime. Okay. So, Rootbear, here he is again. Everybody wave to Rootbear. Sometimes the twins just stop by. They live right next door. We like that, don't we? Yes, we do. So I want to tell you that this is the last Friday in May. And so I am going to, this will be our last story for a little while, because it's staying light later. People are staying up a little later maybe. Maybe you could be with your family by a campfire. Maybe moms and dads, you could tell some stories to your boys and girls at home and all your little children and your bears. Yes, you could tell stories at your house. I will not stop doing stories forever. If it's a time to maybe tell another story, I will put an event out on Facebook so you'll know that another one's coming up. I will also put this one on YouTube so that if you'd rather watch this on YouTube, you can. But Rootbear and I, for now, would like to say goodbye and say we will see you down the road. One day we'll see you at some music festivals or a family gathering or someplace. We hope we see you very soon. So you take care of each other. Be kind. Wash your hands, right? Wear your mask when you're in public. I know you're a bear, you don't have to, but everybody else does. And just be kind to each other and tell stories. Make them up if you want. Tell stories. That's a really fun thing to do. Bye, everybody. Everybody wave the Rootbear wave and say bye, Rootbear. Bye. See you next time, friends. I'll see you next time. How do I finish? There.